All right, and we're live with the one and only ALEXOTOS.
What's going on, guys?
How's it going, man?
With that,
it's going today. I think I was telling you guys earlier. We did a little walking today, me and the girlfriend. So I'm a little tired, drinking some G Fuel for like the fourth time.
Right on, man. Right on. There's a bunch of people in the chat already saying I'm ready. Well, I'm ready as well. So
that's a fellow Canadian, by the way.
Yeah. There's only a handful of us, so we should probably know each other.
It's true.
SFO.
Yeah. It's weird. Even in the keyboard space, there's only like a handful. Well, there's a lot of Canadian people, but there's only a handful of people, I guess, who like handful of vendors, like very small. You can count on one hand. Even people who I guess do some social media content. And again, it's smaller. I'd love to see it grow, but the Canadian scene for like hobbies and stuff is definitely growing pretty fast.
Because it's too cold out here to spend time.
True. You can't do anything else.
Yeah.
What's up, Ant? In traffic.
Yeah.
I like Ant's comment, by the way.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of beard and mustache going on. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
it's part of it. Anyways, we might as well kick the stream off here and start by saying welcome to ALEXOTOS. He's a custom keyboard guy. Is that fair to say? You make custom keyboards for people? And
I mean, I think it's more just like assembling. I do it like I guess Teha Types, whoever who knows keyboards, kind of popularized this. I think the very first streamer was a user by the name of Anthony001, I believe. But Teha kind of like brought this into main gear. I kind of do like a little bit of both. I bring I bring some personality of my own, and then build some keyboards on the side. So the keyboard's definitely like the main attraction, but I think people stay for me zooming into my face and stumbling on my words and stuff,
Right on. I mean, well, for us, I mean, this is like a headphone kind of audio related channel, but we were talking about this earlier, but like the crossover in my mind is that, I mean, for us at least, headphones is something we use every day, but keyboards are another thing that's like that, where we use it every day. Everybody uses it every day, and this goes into like, as we were talking about before, that sort of personalized space. But we'll probably talk about that a little later. But I got a bunch of questions for you that I figured I want to ask. But but yeah, I mean, I guess you just sort of were bringing it up already. But how did you get into this hobby and this kind of stuff, like assembly and that kind of thing, and then also streaming?
So I think like I always answer for the keyboard people, kind of where the keyboard started, but where I kind of got into hobbies, believe it or not, was with audio. So I actually had started collecting, like I think my very first like nice piece of audio gear, I think I bought a Sennheiser HD 598 or something like that. And then I picked up one of those wireless ones. I don't remember the exact model number of the Sennheisers. And I was like, wow, these are really good. Like, I wonder what else is out there. And then I ended up getting really into IEMs and even just some earbuds. I remember picking up a pair of like Bose and like, oh, these are amazing. This was like $100. And I'm like, wait, what if I do campfires next? It seems like the next logical step. And then kind of got into campfire audio there. And they picked up some IMR acoustic stuff and some other, I think I picked up Bravados from Empire Ears. And I just got really into IEMs. And I switched I was like, hey, I want a nice pair of cans. And then I picked up the LCD2s. And then the only next step, I saw these, and again, like these headphones are bled kind of into the keyboard hobby. But when I picked up the LCD2s, I was like, dude, I love buying things. I like buying like really custom things, right? Like I love it. It's a really fun experience. Oh, yeah. And I was like, you know what? Let me customize my workspace, and that's kind of the theme that you were talking about today, talking about kind of our custom workspaces and how we personalize it and stuff. So I got into, taking a few photos of my headphones and dressing up my desk. And I was like, you know what? A nice keyboard would be cool. Get rid of this like terrible Logitech one that I have on my desk. No hate to anyone who uses Logitech. And
is it the one with the Romer G switches, or?
Yeah, please don't even talk about Romer G.
Hey, Chrono loves Romer G. I think he's using them. That's his other reviewer. But yeah,
those are mushy switches.
Yes.
And then so I went and bought this Gons GK87 Pro, I believe the model name was, and it was like this RGB keyboard, and like I don't know if you guys have ever done this, especially with audio, like, and I don't know if anyone in chat has ever done this too, where you guys have bought something and you guys like immediately go to look at reviews and you're like, why did I just spend $50 on this? Like everyone just did shit and it's like in front of you. So I ended up wanting something else after that particular keyboard, and I went and bought a tofu kit. And then I was like, hey, like this is actually pretty interesting. There's a lot that goes into these keyboards. And then after that tofu kit, I wanted to buy my own tofu and build it myself because I had someone else do that one there. And the tofu kit basically, guys, if you guys are wondering, it's like a little 60% keyboard. Frosted acrylic, has a bunch of RGB. Really cool. Fits my aesthetic.
Not candy
bar,
though, right?
Sorry?
Not a candy bar, though, right?
No, the candy bar was like way later on.
Okay.
So I ended up picking up some of these keyboards here, like a bunch of these tofu, started building them, started assembling it, put my foot in the water, and I just like instantly fell in love. And then I picked up some higher end keyboards, and I'm like, man, these are like premium. I wonder what else is out there. And then my love for these keyboards and just assembling them, and then it kind of bled into people wanted, I had an Instagram page going, which I guess some people really liked. So people were asking me to build some stuff live, and then I started doing that, and I guess here we are now with some even more cool keyboards. And around that time too, I picked up these headphones, and I was like, man, these are one of one basically.
For anybody who's wondering, those are that's a Rad Zero he's wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
not quite as flary as the one that Tyler has,
but Tyler's got Terrans.
Yeah, I got the Terran special. These are on loan, and I have to be very, very careful with them. I was under strict orders to not mess these up.
Yeah,
debuilding service. I do have a debuild. I take the keycaps off like no problem.
Yeah,
charge nothing. It's crazy.
So it's funny. So with the whole personalized space thing, you're getting into not just though the keyboard assembly, but like the whole workspace thing. And you've got guides on like how to I guess put together a workspace, with the battle state guides that you put. Yeah. Well, the thing is though, I mean, I was reading up on them just because I knew I was going to talk to you. And I looked down at my space and I went, oh, man, now I got to do more stuff.
You gotta get some mats, man. You got to get the mats.
To the point where I'm now, really, really ashamed of my own personal workspace. And it's time to level up. It's
what, though? I probably have to go back and one day like amend some of those, because as like my workspace kind of evolves, so many things like this whole cupboard area, which is you guys can't really see too well, but this is all like keyboard parts and stuff that I do now. So like this will have to evolve sometime soon too.
Yeah.
There are some stuff I still stick by, but those were made in efforts to kind of like, I would get questions up the wazoo about those things. And I would just be like, how did you do this? How did you do this? And it was questions. It's kind of like, well, these are more personal preference things. Like, I don't know how to really explain these things to people. So I wrote down some articles about them, and I'd say like there's definitely some other popular ones that like popular setups that are online right now that people go absolutely nuts for. But for me, like even the RGB stuff, I'm starting to slowly, I guess, not get away from it because I love RGB. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I'm starting to appreciate, I guess, more of the, well, this part's really flary. Let's make this part here focused in, and make everything else kind of muted. Put some plants on the desk. That way, there I can just focus in on the desk pad and the keyboard and all that.
Right. I'm definitely someone who's like the least amount of RGB as possible.
Hey, that's okay.
My preference, but no, I mean, I wanted to get into that though, like with some of the like design aesthetics that you find interesting, and where do you find what's sort of the inspiration for, well, both colorway, but also just like maybe design aesthetic. Do you have a certain kind of thing that makes you go, that'd be a really cool idea. I wonder how it would turn into keyboards, or what's sort of the process for that? Well,
you can kind of I did design a keycap set, which did like okay, and then I had I have a bunch of desk pads, and some of the desk pads went like pretty bonkers. People really seem to like them.
Yeah, but it looks awesome.
Yeah. Some of the like I have a new one too that people like. It's really bright. I think I have like.
That's right. I think that's a thumbnail, right?
This one here is like really bright. So people have been.
Like, do you have a manufacturer that you work with or how does that even?
So people can use you can go through manufacturers, get minimum order quantities. For an individual, it's kind of expensive. You can see how bright some of these colors are. But you can go through like a manufacturer yourself. But I actually work with, for the most part, I work with a bunch of different vendors at the moment. I think the main one I kind of use, and so they handle everything for me, is the Keycap company. Which is, they have a lot of different keyboard stuff, but like if you want to do that as an individual, it's actually not that difficult. You can find a lot of these like vendors on, believe it or not, like Alibaba,
right,
and go through them. But again, like as an individual, you'll never need 150 desk pads. I don't think it's quite the most realistic thing to do.
That's how you get.
You're just planning for the future at that
desk.
point.
Yeah.
I really like it at that point.
And you're a keyboard princess if you put a P at the second mat of the 150 and you can't type.
Yeah. I mean, there was at one point too where I was starting to get lazy with desk pads, and I had like 6 or 7 stacked up. And then I'm like, do you think anyone will notice on stream today? And then I turned on my camera and you can see like a giant, like towering shadow from the desk pads. I'm like, okay, that takes some of these off.
It's aesthetic. It's
getting to the color of that really bright one. Is there any worry about like the like how bright a mat is and like mouse tracking and stuff like that? Like I know people
not at all.
Not anymore. Okay,
not anymore.
That used to be.
I mean,
like dark surfaces all the way, right?
Yeah, I mean, like for me, anyways. And this is, I guess, for me, I've never personally like thought about that. I've never had any issue. But I don't play video games as much as I used to. And I don't play to that level where like that level of decisions need it. Yeah,
right. But it's
like
funny
I'm
because
sitting here playing like Dota Underlords and stuff where you can take your time in like chess.
That's how I play PC games.
Get out of here with your controller console game over here. Mr. Thumbs.
Hey guys, can I play?
It's funny though that I mean you say that because like I think for a lot of people they come at the not necessarily custom keyboard but mechanical keyboards in general from the like let's say quote unquote esports aspect or like the gaming aspect. We're looking for their you could just go into any store in the gaming section, Best Buy or whatever, and there's tons of keyboards that have
Chrono specials
and browns, the Romer G Chrono specials. Yeah, so like I imagine that there's a lot of people who approach this from I suppose not just the gaming side to like be better, but also probably the streaming side of things where like I want it to look cool. I want it to be something that's like unique to me. I think that's where the custom thing comes in a little bit.
And I think a lot of that, and what I stress, and I know a lot of other keyboard streamers and even the keyboard community stresses, is preference.
Right.
And for me, one of the things that I always stress too is there's 3 major things, which is again preference, not spending to the point where you're going to go broke. Like the last thing you want to do is spend money on one of these customs, because some of these can get pretty damn expensive, especially when you're looking at like aftermarket stuff or non-retail items,
or even not past the group buy stage, and you didn't.
Yeah, past the group buy stage. For example, like you can pick up like a Satisfaction 75, which is I think one keyboard of the year on. Oh man, I can't remember what Dixie Mac ran. I forget that thing that they run, but it won. Like that.
Won an award.
A lot of people liked it. A lot of people liked it, right? And I think those go for like $1,400 to $1,700, and key cults can go for like $2,000 plus easy. That's especially great. Unbuilt kits can go for. Unbuilt kits can sometimes go for a little bit more than built kits, right? So
is that because you can select the switches that you use?
Not everyone can desolder a PCB,
right.
Or not everyone wants to, or not everyone has the equipment. For example, like mine's up there, but I have a desoldered gun, and that actually would run you like 400 Canadian.
Right.
So not everyone wants to do
just
that.
Like
just
$5 in the States. So
yeah, which is like $60 USD.
Yeah.
But I think that's the biggest thing. And then the third thing that I always stress too is just kind of like play with it. Like I get a lot of people who come and ask me. They'll want to get into keyboards and they have nothing, and then they'll be like, dude, like I want to spend money on keyboards. I have the money for it. It's not a big deal. I'm listening to number 1. I'm listening to number 2. I have the money. I have the drive to do this. I want to do preference, but like, what do you like? And it's just like, again, that bleeds into number 1 where it's like buy some stuff, but like a switch tester, get something smaller. I always recommend like a hot swap build. So hot swaps are ones where you don't have to solder in on the PCB. You just pop in and out the switch. Try something like that, and you can go and switch out as you need and see what you like, and then build your end game, which doesn't exist anywhere. Your end game, right?
Is this sort of like the what some of those like GMMK builds are like?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's really expensive boards too. Like Rama has a whole bunch of hot swap boards, which feel pretty good. Yeah, Keycaps don't have any like
hot swap.
My Keycaps right here because I was playing with it earlier.
That thing was you building that was so dope. And I love the red and white, man. So dope.
Some Canada colors.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, it's a solder. Yeah. Well, it has even the Canada Artisan.
I'm not gonna shout out to the Austin. I like that one a lot too.
I no longer have that. Had to send it back to the client, unfortunately. But
and
there's some really dope keyboards. Like you can do so much with it. Like there's acrylic builds which don't cost you that much either. Like I have a Plum 65 which I built last night in front of me. So there's a whole bunch you can do, and I think what people don't realize about the keyboard scene coming in from the gaming scene is there's just so much, and like there's so much tuning you can use. Lubricant on your switches. Yeah. There's so much choice. There's so much that goes into these that.
Isn't like filters and fillers to the board to like make it less like echoey or that kind of stuff? You can do all sorts of crazy stuff with it, right?
You can get foam and like you can go all out and get like pour-on foams, or you can get like some acoustic vinyls, which some people get. I know I'm experimenting with that too. Is that like sometimes people consider that sorry about the acoustic vinyl? To be honest, I don't know.
It sounds like something in the audiophile space.
Sorry, you said you're experimenting with things. That was bad joke.
Yeah.
My fault.
I was like, wait a second.
What just happened?
I'm gonna look this up later. Which mod improves the sound stage of keyboards? So honestly, I think the best thing for keyboards, if you want to like improve sound stage, is usually like lubricants and stuff like that, like stabilizer rattle. If you guys, for example, whoever had the Razor. You'll probably hear like some rattling when you hit some of the longer pieces.
Yeah.
Some people not some people. Usually when you're building these things, you end up putting lubricant inside where the wire goes in, and that kind of stops or prevents it from hitting plastic. Mm-hmm. So it ends up reducing that rattle. I think that's the biggest thing.
It's funny. I still have a keyboard with 65G lubed Zelios kicking around somewhere, but I never used it because 65 grams way too stiff for my liking. So I ended up just finding something else, but it was like, here's a bunch of money down the drain and like work to like, lube everything and, get everything like as smooth as it could be. Was it hot swap
or was it soldered?
No, this was just a full solid build from WASD.
Okay.
Yeah. So probably like, looking into that custom keyboard world, you realize that a lot of this is like, I mean, the stuff that I was looking at was like $700. I was like, I'm just gonna try and get the cheaper one for now. Yeah. But it's probably a good thing because I realize those the switches are now a little too stiff for my liking, for typing at least. Like I don't do the gaming stuff as much anymore either. So
yeah, I mean, some people really like those like 30-gram switches. For me, I'm a big fan of like 65 to 75.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, so I mean, on that subject, I mean, what switches would you say is like your favorites, or is that even something that you consider?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the moment I get this question like all the time too. Yeah. I think at the moment I really prefer like a linear switch at the moment. Like right now I had tactiles in front of me, which are the Zelios, but I prefer a linear switch. I think in the range of 65 again to 72 grams. Mm-hmm. Tangerine switches are still one of my favorite switches at the moment, which are those bright orange. Oh yeah, I do have some right here. I was actually playing around with some earlier. So these bright orange switches, these green Halloween stems. Yeah, perfect for Halloween.
Cool.
These are some of my favorite. I'm lubing some of these banana split switches, which are these pink ones over here.
Oh yeah, those are so cool. I saw those the cream, blueberry, banana cream ones. Is that what those were? Strawberry, blueberry. Banana creams.
Well, they're banana split, but they're
banana split. Thank you.
They're like a pink and a purple with a yellow stem.
Yeah, those.
So are those tactile or are they linear?
They're linear. In all honesty, they probably should feel exactly the same as tangerines.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. And is there any like particular reason why you prefer like the linear switch, or is it?
I think honestly, for me, it's a sound thing, and
right.
Revolving back to that, I guess headphones and audio.
So this is
not
what
a great thing.
I was going to ask everybody what switches they're using right now, what keyboard. Yeah. So I mean, I guess we know what you like to use, but Tyler, what's your go-to right now? I think you're muted.
So go-to right now for switches.
Yeah.
So I think they're called the Royal. something or others. 1 second.
Which keyboard are you using right now?
I have this lovely Kira, the Kono Store Kira. And I believe they're the. You like see? I keep really. I got a little headphone in there.
All right.
Let me. Wait, that's probably a bad one to pull off. I don't have my key puller handy, so this might be a little awkward to try and pull this off. There we go. I have that switch. I think it's a royal purple box. I think. Kyle.
This looks like
Kyle.
Looks like it.
Yeah, Kyle. Kyle. Here you go. Oh, you like that? That's what it sounds like.
This is PG stream, man. No, it's not. It doesn't have to be.
No, so that's what I'm rocking. I'm actually
somebody clip that. Just that one little part.
No, I'm actually working on hopefully getting an Austin R2, and then I'm also hoping to get an iron Smith & Rune Iron 180, I believe is what I'm.
Those are nice boards. So those boards actually go for a crap ton aftermarket too.
Yeah, that's
like past $1,000 US.
Yeah, they're ridiculous.
Aftermarket.
The other one I was looking at was the split, the Alice. Holy crap! That was the first one I went and looked at, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy one of these." Woo! I went on.
I have like 2 or 3 Alices now, and I can't type for crap on them. I'm so mad at it. I mean, I can't type for crap normally, but I don't know why I build keyboards, to be honest.
Why am I here?
Well, that was gonna be my next question. I mean, do you? I guess, yeah. I mean, so I'm using a NIS EC75 with the electrocapacitive, so I'm past mechanicals. Past. I've haven't gone back to mechanicals, but I probably should.
And then,
But only reason. But I was going to say the only reason for that is noise, or sound, right? And realizing that, I mean, I spend most of my time wearing open back headphones and writing stuff. It's nice if it's not super loud, if it's not super intrusive.
See, I don't mind a loud keyboard, but I think the keyboard has to have some sort of so if it's too high pitch for me, I'm not gonna like it. If it's just too thuddy, I'm not gonna like it, right? There needs to be a certain level of I guess what we call clack and thok, right?
Yeah.
So it needs to have a little bit of that, mix for me.
So
I think we call it sack.
Speaking of thok, what's your take on the Topre stuff?
So I've only tried that. I mean, pre-COVID. I mean, for the sake of honesty and transparency, I've only been in the keyboard hobby since last July.
Yeah.
So I think I really got into it in January, and then I got 2 whole months to kind of go out and la-di-da, let's go to this thing, and then COVID hit, and it's by the way, you can't leave the house anymore. And then so the one meetup that I went to here in Toronto, I tried some of them, and they were decent. Again, I only did it for 5 minutes, not even.
Right.
This is pretty good, but I think I'm gonna be building with friends. We're doing this whole swap over with a Norbauer case, which are really, really nice, and you have to swap a whole bunch of parts. So eventually, I think a few months down the road, I might try another one. But I mean, I haven't really had a chance to sit down and type and really get a feel for a Topre keyboard.
Right. But do you think there's sort of I mean, to me, it's again, it goes back to what you're saying. It's all sort of about preference, but I know people who prefer membrane keyboards. And to me, I'm I would never want to go back to, full membrane over mechanical.
I actually still have my best typing is done on my MacBook because the butterfly switches. I know there are people just absolutely dookie on the MacBook keyboard, but I don't mind that at all. It might be the typing angle. It might just be the low profile keycaps or something, but I don't know. I just like it.
It's fair.
Yeah. But I mean, the typing thing specifically, at least for me, that if I'm thinking about the reasons why I look at different keyboards, one of them, is to try and get into that sort of personalized space a little bit and see what would fit with the rest of the kind of style that I look for. But the main reason, I mean, I got to be honest, is for typing, for making it easier and more, I guess, feel better when typing, considering this is something that I do for work, right, most of the time. So but
what's your thought? Real quick, I wanted to jump in real quick. What's your thoughts on the so to kind of jump into the space of your unique space? I want to ask this for both of you guys actually, because for me, like I have to make it yours kind of thing, right? Like I'm constantly I mean, you guys can see my room. I have a giant Ninja Turtle, and I have Legos, Star Wars, and I have almost the entire.
Is that your room specifically, or is it like just a room that is in your house?
It's the guest room that my wife allows me to put things in.
Okay.
Keyword being allow. No, but yeah, like I have a bunch of turtles and stuff, and then like on my desk, I'll always swap them out, but I'll have like little like knickknacks, like Legend of Zelda sword that you can.
Yeah.
But that my daughter takes and tries to stab me with all the time. But like, so what's something like that? Like, what's like the things that make you guys? Because I see Alex has a whole bunch of stuff on his shelf, but then Resolve just has headphones. So that just tells me that
he tells you everything you need to know about me. when I used to live in Victoria and I was in grad school, I had one of the like most generic apartments ever. And there's just like standard, like apartment buildings. And whenever I had, friends or family over, they'd walk in and go, "Wow, you have literally nothing on your walls." Because that was me. It was like, to me, it was like as minimal as possible. It's changed since then, and the other rooms in my current place are definitely a lot more, decorated and lit up. Much thanks to my girlfriend's choices, more so than mine, but. As far as like my own personal space, I have yet to reach the level of style of any kind, and it's all just cameras and lenses and headphones and DACs and amps and stuff like that. But partially also just because of like the work that I have to do. Right, it's got to be this stuff. So, but
I think I was going to say that too. Like that's a huge part of it. It's like what a lot of the times like personal spaces end up being like a reflection of what you do for a living. And then what you enjoy doing outside of that. I know for a long time, because I did product photography full time for about 3 or 4 years, right? Like my room was, so I literally I swapped down. I really trimmed the fat with what I have for cameras, and I have the 2 cameras you see over here, so an A7R2 and an A6000, with a few Sony lenses, and I got rid of like thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars of Nikon gear, and it used to just be like shelves of it. Like I had 600 mil lenses, which I busted out one time, and I don't know why I bought them. I think I still have like a 150 to 600 mil lens downstairs, a Sigma that costs like $2,000 or $3,000, and I bought it for the purpose of photographing cheetahs, and that was about it. And then I did, and
that's awesome.
And I think that's like as my hobbies changed, is that I really kind of like working full time doing photos like killed it for me, and I ended up just swapping down, and I literally don't even show off my camera gear anymore. Like the little bit of extra camera gear I have is like tucked away in a shelf. Yeah, like I have anime figures up here, which again I don't even know if I want to keep, because I actually want to replace this whole wall with more like, I like bright stuff. Like I love stuff that just like screams color, and it's just always been my thing. So I might actually want to put like a neon sign over there or something.
I noticed you have the really cool little lighting thing in the back, and so Tyler's got a similar one there as well.
Actually, I got that from I got it. Yeah, Alex is the reason I have that, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay, I had a question for both of you guys. Given that you guys have such personalized spaces that you guys are in right now, if there was no thought to doing any sort of live streaming with that space, would you still care to the same degree about it? Because I imagine that you would.
Before I even started streaming, this was my space.
Yeah, I know for you it was, yeah.
the only thing I've added to this background since I started streaming was this light. That's it.
Oh, like
this is how the room always
is.
Yeah, I mean, like when I started streaming, I got a few comments like as my viewership started to pick up, because it started off with like 5 or 8 viewers, and then we got into like the 20 viewer range, and I'm like, I'm big bowling now, boys. Gonna go full time. People were like, you should make your bed, and I remember like looking at them dead. I'm like, I'm never making that bed. And to this day, like, this bed's just gonna stay like that. I'm not doing it. Making your bed when you're gonna go to sleep in it literally makes no sense to me, so I'm just never gonna do it.
To keep spiders off, though, that's what I like. I remember
Is that a thing?
My mom would be like, you make your bed, if you don't, spiders will fall in there, and then you won't. Yeah,
I'll never know.
No, it was hit after that. It's effective.
I wanted to chat about the audio piece a little bit too, because I did purposely. Oh, look at that light right there! Look at where did that come?
Is it the is it the
where
window?
is it? I couldn't. Sorry, I got mesmerized. But
shiny.
But yeah, like so the thing that's really cool about the Alex Rosson stuff. So that's who makes our headphones for people that don't know. Or makes not mine. These are Terran special. I'm just borrowing them. But Alex, his are pretty sweet too.
They all look different. Right? They're all customized and similar to the keyboard world, right? Where it's like,
and they're just gorgeous. I mean, kind of.
So wait, is that the one that Terran specifically designed?
Terran specifically made this. Like he actually made this when they were at CanJam last year. And so I really wanted to.
I say made, but okay, let's say designed. Like
he mixed the epoxy and he put the colors in, and So kind of speaking on that, like I would want to talk to more like what when you get pulled into these, like cause I think of it. This is how I look at it, right? Like I see these headphones as like an extension of kind of like me a little bit too, and I love that they have that. Like color pop, like you're talking about, or they have that uniqueness. Like I love the one-off things, right? Like I have a pair of ZMFs that there's one of one. Like there's literally no one else will have these, and they, like it's just.
Well, but even if you buy like a regular Silkwood,
one of one. No one else.
One
will
of
have
one,
it,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
So I love that. Like that to me, like is something I personally love. Actually, and then I was getting pinged here, and I think in like speaking of cheetahs, sorry, random, but like, have you ever done like a Cheeto based jump off, like a Cheeto keyboard?
Cheeto or cheetah?
Cheeto, like the orange cheetah. Like I want to hear it.
I'll be honest, I don't like Cheetos.
What about a cheetah based one?
What about a cheetah based one?
No, I don't like cheetah print either.
What if it was purple and black?
Purple and black, it would need to be solid color. The pattern for me is just not for me. I'm not a patterns guy. It has to be random. It's actually one of the big reasons where it's why I'm so big into like resin and stuff recently. Like, I think a lot of people, like even the headphone. Like I have a knife too, which is resin too, which is one of one
with the Damascus too.
Right. So I really like this kind of stuff, which I remember I saw these, and this was after I ordered the headphones. I'm like, oh, these match my headphones. This is great.
I think I'm getting pinged here on the side. 1 second.
But so as far as like the headphones themselves, like, I mean, you've now gone through like a number of them, right? What's your take on the Rad Zero?
So I remember going. So there's a shop here in Toronto that's called the Headphone Shop with an F. Awesome shop, by the way. It's beautiful inside there. Awesome owner. Can't remember his name for the life of me. But honestly, such a good experience. I went in there, tried so many things. I ended up buying Bravados from him, the Empire Ears, because I still really like the Empire Ears Bravados. Like they're not the most expensive IEM, but they pack a punch.
You gotta try these at some point, man.
Oh, the Odins. No,
the Odin.
Monarchs. This Odin.
This is the Odins. This is the nuttiest.
Man, don't get me back into IEMs, please. I was eyeing Canaries the other day.
You're eyeing what?
The Canaries, I believe they're called.
Oh, that's I know those. Yeah. I can't remember the brand, but yeah.
They just looked pretty. And then I went there and I tried a whole bunch of headphones out, like just about everything that they had in that store. And then I'm like, hey, now I got a good idea. And then I remember coming home one day. I don't remember how I stumbled upon these. I think I was looking at like an in between. I was looking at the LCD 3s because I'm like, you know what? I still love the LCD 2s. And I'm like, oh, did the stream die?
No, sorry, that was my fault. I hit a button randomly. Sorry. I was trying to minimize another thing, and then that happened.
I was like, I just saw it go black in my other screen.
Sorry, that was my fault. Everyone, you're not losing us. I was trying to minimize a different window, and I minimized the Zoom window.
Are we back up?
Yeah, we're back up. It'll be minimized for a couple seconds. Sorry about that.
I remember looking at the LCD 2s and I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'll just like do it and buy the LCD 3s or LCD 4s. But I was like, man, the LCD 4s are quite expensive. And I was like, you know what, if I'm going to go all in. And then I remember reading a few reviews about the the Rad Zeros, and people are saying that, again, super subjective. People are saying, oh, it's like an in between of an LCD and LCD 3 and 4. And I was like, well, damn it, I can't try this anywhere. Like, I don't know where to go and try this. And I was looking at some people here in Canada who are reselling theirs, and I remember one guy in particular had a listing which was like, I'm gonna tell a story. This is a reflection of me, no one else. But I messaged him because his listing was like 2 or 3 months old, and I said, hey, is this still available? And I get this rude response back saying, of course it's still available, it's still listed. I'm like, I no longer want to shop here, sir. And some people forget to take down listings. I was asking a question, and yeah, I was so turned off by that. And it was such a nice color this guy had too. And then I said, screw it, let me just go through. I think I went through I think I was looking at headphones.ca, and they didn't have them there, right? Because most of them were listed on headphones.com. And then I got in touch with the boys, and and then they hooked me up with a nice pair of headphones. And then oddly enough, the one that I had picked, which I'll be honest, I wasn't 100% sold on the color originally, but I was like, I just really want to try these, and this color is good enough. Something actually happened. I think they actually had used that particular headphone, and they sent it to someone else, like preemptive, like this whole mix up. I wasn't mad about it. I was like, cool. I'm going to wait for another color then. I already have the money down. Let's just wait. So Alex like really quickly got me another pair, and he showed me a whole bunch, and then I'll take up headphones. So I won't be.
We actually have a bit of a surprise here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
An additional person on the on the live stream. Surprise person.
Surprise person. I don't know if you could tell who it is.
Yeah, I see it in the chat.
So Alex, I don't know if you can both Alexes, by the way.
Yeah.
Hello. How are you guys?
Good. How are you, man?
How's it going, man?
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Really nice to meet you, Alex. Here, let me get my video going.
We're just talking about your headphones.
Nice to meet you as well. Yeah.
Good thing you didn't say anything. No.
I've been listening. Oh no, hold on one sec. As usual, some technical difficulties. So
I swear it's Zoom. I was having the same problems. I'm like, why is it Discord can pick up my camera immediately, but Zoom I gotta like go through 15 different hoops.
That is exactly what is happening. That's interesting.
Oh.
Lesson learned. Maybe. There he is.
There we go.
The man, the myth, the legend. There he is.
Oh man, I feel so self-conscious that I don't have like a really cool looking like color background. It's just so boring on my gray wall.
I like your aesthetic though. It's nice.
I'm chilling.
I mean, I can turn off some lights if you want.
No.
We can make it brighter here.
I like the Alex. Both your guys are. I like the background there.
The red and purple.
Yeah,
we match.
Hey, I mean, it's appropriate, right? I just installed these lights for this,
There we go. Now we're blue.
I can throw my little. I can do a little pink action maybe.
All right. Well, it's on a timer, so it just goes through the rainbow.
Right.
Yeah, that was fun.
So really nice to meet you, Alex. I wanted to just say hi and say thanks for all. I don't know, man. You've kind of introduced what I'm doing to a whole new crowd, and it's really amazing.
Yeah,
so I want to say thanks.
It's cool too. Like on a real level too. Like I get so many messages asking me about these headphones, and I've had a few people reach out saying like they're saving up to buy them or they bought them. I'm not sure if they did or not, but I always get like those few people that like they think of headphones and they think Bose and they cap out at $300 maybe for some Beats, and then they go up, and I never tell people how much I spend on my things. So they'll be like, oh, I'm gonna go buy those headphones. Alex makes them look so cool. And they come back to my stream in all caps, like angry, like I just like killed their dog or something. And they're like,
I see all of those comments. I'm like, I wish you understood like how much we put into them.
What's crazy is like we're quick to spend like a few $100 plus on customizing your keyboard, past buying the case. But the moment we talk about it, like, no, that stays at $150.
It's weird, right? Certain people think that.
I was just listening earlier, and you mentioned there was a $1,000 keyboard aftermarket. I'm just like,
that is a bunch, yeah. There's some really expensive stuff.
That's fascinating. Is it really just? I mean, because I'm, you're kind of you've kind of introduced me to this, even though I've had friends and I've had a lot of keyboards. I've just never seen it as my hobby, but it's so fascinating to me, and I think I'm gonna probably get hooked on it. It appears the boys are already hooked on it, and I've had friends try and get me into it. Like you,
it's weird at first, for sure.
It is weird, but it's more about audio the environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think from my perspective too, like being into audio first and then being into keyboard second, while still being like really into audio, like I'm still looking for a replacement. It's hard because I really like the Marantz HD DAC one. But I think for me, audio is very like you put it on your head, you're not looking at it, right? Yeah. Like you look at it when you put it down, and that's where I'm like, ooh, like the
or just pick it up to put it on.
Yeah, like there's times where like whenever someone goes, can I see the headphones? Like immediately I'm like, you don't even have to ask twice. I'm going to stop what I'm doing, drop in the keyboard, if it dents, whatever. Let me show off these things. I get to look at them. But I think with keyboard, it's more of like it's a sound thing for sure. It's a visual thing, and it's also a feeling thing. So it mixes a whole bunch of senses, which I think kind of has like not a one-up per se. Like it's not better than headphone hobby, but there's definitely like you get to look at it more often, right?
Right.
Absolutely, it's tactile.
Yeah.
That brings up a subject
that's what I love about headphones too, especially when they're beautiful like that, like pieces of art, like where it's like there's a factor of picking them up off the headphone stand, right? Like it's that experience, kind of like people like the vinyl, like people get way into vinyl, and that whole like they rub the vinyl. Like there's almost a system for that with like beautiful headphones too, where you like it's that experience of holding them and then putting them on and like
I was just gonna say it brings up the subject of, I mean, for a long time, I don't think people expect the kind of artistry that in headphones that something like the Rad Zero has. I mean, with all the different custom colorways and whatnot. And I think there's a parallel there with keyboards where there's a functional component to it, and that the question of the artistry that might go into it is often not even asked in the customer's mind or in the person who is looking into this kind of stuff. It's more about what the function is. And now we've gotten to a point with these where there really is much more conscious effort being put into it. And I like that there's now more attention being drawn to that aspect of it, like the artistry aspect of it.
Speaking of that, like the artistry. Go ahead, Alex.
Oh, go on, Tyler. Sorry. Okay, I'll go.
Go. You're the guest, man.
So I think for me too, like being on Instagram and like I remember posting some of the earbuds first, and I think what people were really drawn to was like the Campfires are beautiful looking IEMs. They are like they're pretty, but I think more people were kind of interested in that kind of like industrial look of the IMR acoustics. And when I remember even posting the LCD2s, like people were like, "Man, that's gorgeous!" But the wood and wood, it's nice if you catch in the right light, you can see the different grades and stuff like that. And the LCD2s are beautiful headphones, and I have them right over here, and they're gorgeous. But I remember looking at the Rad Zeros, and to kind of like finish up that story from earlier, when I saw this particular colorway, I was like, man, like blues and purples and reds are my thing. And originally, like I wanted to go in and pick like all three of those colors. I'm like, let me just pick one. And the original ones I wanted were blue. And then when we had like the switch over to these ones, I was like, man, this is beautiful. And like you were saying too, like the thing that these headphones, on top of sounding really good, like they have that attention to detail. Like you have the all chrome, like the chromed out ones too, which I really love. Yeah. He's like stressing these aren't mine. And then
I have to be very careful with these. Okay, they're very precious
because you want yours.
Yeah, I want. Yeah,
that's the point, right? Yeah.
Yes.
But the thing about these, they're just so beautiful. Like like and as someone who's very aesthetic, I was like, man, these are like priced a little bit below the LCD4s. Like at the time when I was deciding, and I was like, these are it. Like these are the ones. And I remember doing so much before buying them, doing so much research, and everyone was saying like exactly what I was hoping they'd say. So I remember going in there with like, if it does not meet this criteria, I probably won't pick it up. And I did, and I picked them up, and like opening them was an experience. Like putting them on was an experience. I know some people were complaining they were a little bit heavy, but honestly, like I actually find these a bit more comfy than the LCD2s, and it might be the pads. Like these pads are nicer. The LCD2s made my head sweat sometimes.
Well, they're also lighter than the LCD4 by quite a bit, I think. The LCD4 is very heavy.
I only tried the LCD4 for like 10 minutes at the store, 15 minutes. Yeah. So it wasn't like I had them on for hours like we do now. But yeah, like these were it. And like, yeah, go on.
I just want to interrupt just real quickly because I see a lot of the comments about the clamping force, and clamping force was somewhat intentional because they stretch out, right? So out of the box, I stretch them a little bit, but it's like they're very tight, so they're kind of universal. But you can stretch the band if you want to. Just don't put too much pressure on the actual blocks. But if it's too tight, just stretch it out. It's easy.
I honestly, like, out of the box, like, they were perfect for mine because I guess maybe I have a slimmer head or something, but they were perfect for me. But no, they were good. Like, I love them.
I'm not going to deny they're heavier than some headphones, right? There's a lot of magnets in there, but I think, I don't know, they're comfortable for me.
So.
I think it's very rare that I have to shift them because I get a hot spot on the top of my head. Like, very rare. And that was something that I was doing because I also have like a whole bunch of other headphones here too. I think one that I kept doing that with, I think I'm going to go back to the LC2s. Like the LC2s I did that a crap ton with. And I don't have that new carbon fiber band for that one there, which I probably should pick up if I want to continue kind of keeping them on the shelf there and swapping them out here and there. But I think it may be the band too, right? But
I've yet to get a hotspot with these ones. Yeah, either, to be honest with you. And I've worn these for.
Have they put a dent in your head yet?
Yeah, probably. I'm bald, maybe even already, maybe a little bit.
He's got, but that's just from headphone use. Like,
it's just a general headphone use. It's just, my head is now. It's.
I just was watching some YouTuber and
Tim the Tat Man.
Whoever it was, he realized he had a dent in his head from Audio Technica.
Oh yes, I saw that. That's
hilarious. He freaked out. That was pretty funny.
So many memes.
I probably have one. I do have one.
Well, the reason I haven't shaved my head yet, I haven't buzzed it. Soon we'll find out.
I wanted to ask real quick, Alex, Rosson, the process for like coming up, because you have some really cool stories about some of the customs that you've done already. Like you do some really cool. Like there was that one that had the ammo box and like some other stuff.
Yeah, you guys, I don't know if you can share links on the stream at all. Are you able to in the chat or something? I can share. I can show you a link of. I mean, just
send it to us and we can you can paste it in the link and stuff. But yeah,
this one is really kind of cool. I mean, we've done a lot of custom units for artists that come in, or producers or friends, etc. Where they come in and they'll actually I'll sit there with Taryn and pour their resin, and then we do everything in house. So we build the drivers, we cut the resin, we polish, sand, do the whole thing. But getting a lot more of those, which is really cool. But the one that I just shared with you is pretty special. It was really nice gentleman hit us up, and he said his father just passed, and his dad was in World War II as a fighter pilot. And just asked, he wanted us to make something for him. He had some idea, but really he just said, you guys do something, and we work with him the whole time during the process. So we get approvals and whatnot. And so we did this. And what I shared with you guys is kind of the finished product. And it was, I have probably the best customer I've ever had, but also the most happy customer. So for me, it's I'm all about the custom thing and working with the clients and really figuring out what they're going to enjoy looking at and listening to for at least a few years. And so that's, I don't know, it's starting to pick up as far as the custom goes, and it's been kind of a dream of mine for a while. So it's just really interesting. What really attracted me to what you're doing, Alex, is it's the same thing. But I'm not saying this is new for headphones. IEMs have been doing this for a long time, and they do it really well. And just some of the stuff they do in such a small space is crazy. Keycaps is ridiculous. It's amazing. So it's personal audio, and for me, I'm trying to help make it even more personal, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, we have keycaps, like single keycaps, so retail that can go for $90.
Speaking of Artisan is in the chat, which I want to talk about this too, like the custom keycap. Sorry, go ahead. I call it.
It's literally that actually. Like we'll have these like really cool, either they're 3D printed, they're hand painted. I know they actually hand paint. There's actually have them on my desk, and there's some people who do resin shots inside them. So it's this whole world of like these custom keycaps and whatnot too. And there'll be custom keycaps again aftermarket. And I made this comparison about a week or two ago on our show called Keycast. And the thing with headphones is like you're able to charge what you do and get it done pretty quickly. With these Artisan keycaps, a lot of these key makers probably won't ever make them again. So these collectors will sometimes pay up to, I've seen some stuff go for some crazy prices in Artisan keycaps, more than keyboards, right? So I have a few that are worth a few $100s too. So
are they fine artist crossovers, or are there visual artist crossover in that like, okay, well, I'm going to make some keycaps one-offs and dip in and dip out?
Sometimes people do that. Sometimes some people can make some really cool stuff, maybe appear for 6 months and then peace out. But there's one keycap maker I know in particular, Gaff, makes some really cool stuff. And I know his stuff sells for an absolute metric butt ton aftermarket. I know even Bro Caps, like Last Pilots, which are based off of like this old avatar, an anime avatar of this girl getting swallowed by a mech. So done in like a keycap form, right? There's even sometimes like there's key makers or keycap makers who will make like tons of their keycaps, and there's like one particular color run that everyone really wants. So those can go for a bit. Like even let me plug this keyboard here and show you. Like these guys, there wasn't too many of these ones made, which are these little like I don't even know what to call them, like
that's pretty
space cats and masks or something.
That's some really cool
and I've been offered a few $100. There's some like artists you said will cross over and mix their two crafts. So we had one archetype who makes these krakens or like octopuses.
Those are so
and then they had one here in Canada, Prime Caps, who did a resin shot of like their 3D print and a resin, I guess, fill of theirs, and filled it in with this like galaxy fill that they do for some of their stuff. And it was a one-off, and I was lucky enough that they sent it to me, and it's beautiful, and I don't know if they're ever going to do something like that again, right? So it was like a collab between two artists.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a whole other world within keyboards.
Yeah, Alex.
Yeah,
being and I'm sure a lot of people listening. I'm assuming a lot of people listening or watching might have the same question, and it's a question that could be frustrating, but. What should I get if I'm beginning in the keyboard world? What's a great starter package, or like what's the standard where it's like that's a 650? You should get a 650 because you can't go wrong with a 650. Or
that's actually a question. There's always one to ask too, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think the first thing you need to look at is what layout of keyboard would fit your workspace. So, for example, will a 65%, which has 4 additional keys on the side, plus your arrow key cluster. Will that fit your workspace? Will a keyboard? Do you need F keys like the F1 through 12? Do you need a numpad? Once you can get past like that's a TKL, right?
TKL, yeah, 10
so that's TKL. What's that stand
a 10
for?
key list.
So,
so it's missing the numpad.
This one's 75%.
Yeah, and what I'm using here is a 65%, which doesn't have the F keys on top because I never used them.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing.
So once you can actually like figure out your layout, then you can go, okay, well, what do I need next? And what I always recommend for people who are starting, like if you really want to get into it, you can go full soldered. You can pick your switches, get someone else to lube them. But if you want to do this yourself, a hot swap board, Rama actually sells a lot of like these really cool hot swap boards. And I think they have their U80s. I think maybe it's already over, but it's a TKL. Rama has a whole bunch that you can pick up. You can even pick up like hot swap kits. And what a hot swap is you don't have to solder anything down. So you take your switch and you pop it into the socket. So you click it in, and then if you want, you can remove it later without having to disassemble the keyboard.
Yeah,
and once you get past that point there of kind of like figuring out, do I like this layout? Do I like this switch? What else do I want? Then you can go to your next step and really get like, an all aluminum case that's anodized really, really well. You can pick up your key cult if you want to spend, the few $100 retail if you happen to win a raffle, or you could buy it aftermarket for, $2,000, right? So there's that route afterwards, or you can pick up something even simpler. Or you can be satisfied with the hot swap, which a lot of people are, right? So it's totally up to you.
There's also the question of group buys as well, which
Doesn't exist
maybe you
in
could
the audio world, right? I don't
What's
know
that?
if it does.
It does.
Do group buys exist like in the audio world?
Sort of, but it's a little different on the custom keyboard stuff. So maybe if you could enlighten us on like how some of that stuff works, because
Massdrop does have some of like their Massdrop products, but like I'll be honest, like the way Massdrop handles those, it's not really like the keyboard group buys.
Mm-hmm.
So keyboard group buys run like in totally different ways, in my opinion. So you can do your standard fulfilled group buy, so you have like 1 month, and then if you place an order, you're part of an unlimited run, and sometimes that keyboard never gets made again after that. Then we have the raffle buys. Sorry,
which part of the keyboard doesn't get made? Like the entire mold, or like just the
sometimes
keys?
The entire case.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll never produce keys for you. It's just a PCB usually in a case.
Then you put your own.
You have to buy all your own stabs and caps.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Cool. So sometimes only 1,000 of these get made, or even 500. Sometimes even 200, and then never again. Bye. Gone off the face of the earth. They're never making them again.
So it's like a pre-order list, basically.
Kinda, yeah.
But a group.
And then the next part is raffles, which, for example, the plume that I showed you just now, that one there I think had 50. There was only 50 of these ever made. Or I have another one that's called the 512 from Texas, by a maker called ATXKB, who only made 20 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to win a raffle to win your chance to purchase, just like the key calls. You have to win a raffle to win your chance to purchase a round of these keyboards. Sometimes it's a round, so they'll do it like every 6 months or whatever it is. Sometimes it's once and one and done. So the 512, for example, there's only 20 of those in existence. I have one in my shelf over there, and it's never going to be made again. So that's the interesting thing about the keyboards, because you're not really buying, like, the hardware is not so drastically different.
It's that it's
kind of like in the audio world.
Artistic
yeah, like a PCB can only do so many things. You register the key clicks, and sometimes there's some LEDs on them, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
With audio, I think it's more personal, so sometimes it's worth to kind of like invest in an audio signature and then build upon that audio signature and create a whole line of this stuff. But with keyboards, it's sometimes about what's the next hype case.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What's going to house your PCB and your keycaps, and it's all interchangeable sometimes. So it can get really confusing. But
did I hear that there's point-to-point soldering, or is it just point to the PCB? Like, sorry, I must have misunderstood how they actually work. Do you have to solder each actual key button, I guess?
Switch?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's little legs in the bottom of these little 2 pins.
Amazing.
You solder those 2 pins into your PCB, and you're usually good to go. As long as you level it correctly and your PCB's working and the traces, there's no damage to the traces and stuff like that, you're good to go.
I've got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But that's only if you're using mechanical switches too, right? Because you can also still do like the rubber dome stuff, or like there's other different styles.
Yeah.
I've never built one of the membrane
or like
keyboards.
Electrocapacitive.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a Logitech here, working with the Logitech. How about mice? Do they have like a?
Yeah, there's a whole
Logitech
custom mic scene as well, which I have zero clue about. So.
I have a cool gaming mouse with LEDs, and it has a turbo button where I hit the turbo button.
I actually just got rid of my custom mouse. I prefer this Logitech one.
Dude, yeah.
I'm also on the Logitech train for mice. It's too bad their keyboards aren't just kidding.
Well, we're slowly seeing Logitech creep into the high-end scene. Logitech released they collabed with Herman Miller on those chairs.
I saw that. That's fascinating. Yeah.
Have you? I don't think it's gonna be very long until Logitech moves into that. I mean, they acquired Blue, didn't they? Acquire Blue?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
remember
Logitech owns Blue, Astro. What else do they own?
That's the microphone.
Stream Deck too. I think didn't they buy Stream Deck, or was that who bought Stream Deck? Somebody bought Stream Deck recently too.
Yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. I think Corsair bought Stream Deck.
I don't see Corsair moving into like audio or keyboards. Oh, go on. Sorry, Alex.
Don't want to interrupt. Keep going with what you were saying.
Oh, I was literally just going to finish there. I just don't see them moving into keyboards or audio as fast.
do you see brands like, to me, when I look at the keyboard or the custom keyboard world or artisan keyboard world, it appears that it's still underground and it still is kind of a very niche thing and kind of like, unless you're interested in it, you're not going to know about it. But do you see some of the, the big brands starting to pay attention to that, similar to Logitech, but actually doing like collabs and trying to swoop in on it? And is that something that the community welcomes, or is it like, we stay out of here?
So I mean, in my honest opinion, I think sometimes it can be split, especially for some people who are just like, I don't mean to be rude to them, but they feel like this need to protect, I guess, part of the hobby, which in my opinion, like if there's change, whether it be bad or good, it's good to experience something and then grow from it, regardless of what it is, because that can also help you grow as a person or a brand. So for example, recently we had Glorious Gaming Master Race or whatever the brand is. They moved in and they actually picked up, they're starting to make switches now too, which they made some like hot swap keyboards. I don't doubt. Yeah, there was some controversy with like a trademark there or something, but again, it's all back end stuff that the average person will have to worry about. But you're very right in the part where it does feel underground, where people care a lot about like smaller brands and venues. My thing, just like audio, is we're gonna have the Apples, we're gonna have like the Bose, the Sennheisers, where it's like very mass marketable, and the average person doesn't want to think about the headphones they're buying. Like Skull Candy, for example, they'll go out and buy like a $50 or $100 headphone or keyboard. I think that's always going to be a thing, but I think just like the audio world has like very boutique sections of it too, I think that eventually keyboards will move into, yes, you can buy a custom keyboard off the shelf and maybe do a whole bunch to it and be cool with it. But there's always going to be like, well, if you want the boutique stuff,
if you want the real stuff,
visit this forum. Yeah, kind of like if I go to the
real headphones.
Like I think honestly, like, if you want the real, I think like if you talk to someone about what does Apple carry, the planar IAMs, right? I think they carry those in the stores now.
Oh no, Apple? They got rid of everything. They're no longer. They got rid of all of it. Yeah, only thing they're going to store in their stores is the AirPods, anything AirPods, Beats. Yeah.
I thought they still had those planar.
No, it was just last week they announced they removed everything.
I didn't even need planar IAMs. This is news to me.
Yeah, they have the ones from I don't remember the model number of them. Do you know it, Tyler?
I can't think. I think I remember what you're talking about, but it was like the crazy looking little things, right? Like the
Was it like an Odyssey kind of planar like that?
iSign.
iSign, maybe?
Oh, yeah, iSign.
Yeah, because they had the cipher cable. The
cipher cable wait, I think I was talking about
so they were okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah. I was thinking of like earbuds. I'm like,
pretty sure.
What?
I thought Apple...
I know this one.
I know it, yes.
I think they carried them in the store.
They did for a little bit. I do recall that, yeah. Because they had this, they were made specifically with the Apple iPhone.
With the Apple, whatever the cable was, And then I think people might, because it's in a big retail store, might recognize that name brand, but there's definitely like a lot of people I go up to for audio who are like really big into audio, and I'm like, oh, so like if I mention this other brand, like even Campfire, which I think is a pretty popular one these days too, they'll have no idea. Yeah. And it's not a bad thing, but it's like, again, it's that boutique world versus the mass marketable world, right? And I think it's going to be exactly Yeah, exactly. It's
really pay to get to eyes.
Yeah, and I think it's also like it's my always thing in the way I take photos too isn't so much like put it on a backdrop, make this keyboard look really good with all these spotlights type thing. Like my lighting setup in my room's like pretty natural. Like when I'm streaming, obviously it's not too natural, but when I take photos, it's one key light plus natural light coming in from the window. And being able to show someone how it looks in like a real world environment, just like the headphones, kind of makes it seem more attainable and more personal.
Right.
And that's usually my goal with photos. Because I've grown so old of like the sterile photos and make it on a white background or have like all this bokeh and make it look so good. Like for me, it's just like not my thing anymore. I want to like how my eye actually looks at this thing. Like, adds a little bit of flair here and there, sure, but I want to see what it looks like on a real desk.
Like the story, like I want to hear the story behind it, right?
Yeah, like I want to know, and I think that's where a lot of the boutique stuff, and even I think people get invested with artists and stuff in the keyboard world, and personalizing your desk, revolving around that theme is like, what's the story behind it? And I think more and more people are getting into oh, I want to learn about this and I want to know how this is someone's, opposed to, well, this is just another desktop that some guy at some mass marketing firm put together, and great, like my desk is never going to look like this. That's why I keep lots of random, because there is lots of random junk. I got like 6 bags of candy on my desk right now.
But a good point, right?
And a lot of the times, like I'll take photos of those in the background, or like I have my girlfriend's pins all over my desk, and like I'll just take photos of it because that's my desk. Like, why would I change it for? It's not me being lazy. Like I'll organize it a little bit to make it look pretty, but
she's in
there. You really make it bed though, dude. You really got to make that bed back there.
That's my scheme. That's my scheme.
Yeah, the bed, man, it really throws me off, dude.
That's my thing.
But see, like that, I mean, that idea about, with the photo and the uniqueness factor, or the one of a kindness factor of, well, whether it's the headphones or the keyboard, nobody gets excited about the story of a generic Microsoft keyboard. Right. No, I mean, or very few. Maybe there is no story, right? It just is a keyboard. But as soon as there's like that additional component to it that's recognizable, there's a much more personalized story to it. Like you're saying. I mean, now there's the question when you're being drawn into the photo. Whose is this, and what's sort of like where did this come from, or what was the design inspiration for this?
A lot of the question I get is like how. So, for example, I remember posting the Rad Zeros on a bunch of my photos, and I got like DMs and go, where and how, like what is this, like what makes this unique, like. And a lot of times, like, there's some questions. Like, I remember usually when I post something new, like the knife too. When I posted the knife, like I got so many questions about this. Beautiful. And it's like sometimes it's tough to answer like a repetitive question, so I'll make like a generic response or something, and I'll try to answer everybody that I can. But a lot of these things, like for example, some people like, well, I want the one that you have. I'm like, well, you can ask for like same colors, but like you can get it. And it's the same thing with and it's the same thing with these too. It's like the knives that are different. Like they want this one. And I'm like I unfortunately don't make these things, so I don't know if you can get the exact same one, right? But like, it's a lot of and it's a lot of like hows and where. That's usually the questions I get. And then once they get invested, they'll go, "What are your honest thoughts?" Right? And I'm always one to be transparent with everything, right? So.
Yeah. Well, my thought
I wouldn't use something I didn't like.
I was say I own it, so that's my honest opinion of it.
All right, and just so like you guys know too, like even on my keyboard stream, like I purposely don't go and look for sponsors or don't have sponsors because I want it to be some, from my consumer level. Like I buy most of the stuff I have, if not like all of it. There's very few things that I've received, right? Because I want if I'm dissatisfied with my purchase, it hits different when you're given a free item and you're like, oh, this kind of sucks, whatever, it was free. Yeah. But when you're spending like $500, $600 on something
personal.
Custom, and it sucks. And then I remember the one time I actually got super disappointed. It was a keyboard called the Matrix Noah. And we got to the sound test and like my face just dropped. I'm like, this keyboard sounds like ass. And... you just spent all this money on it, and I'm like, great. I don't want this on my desk anymore.
Was it based on people's recommendation that you bought it, or what was sort of the?
There was a lot of hype behind it, and it was an overseas board, so I don't think a lot of people like posted a lot of reviews at the time that I had picked it up. But I mean, it's whatever.
I think that exists in the headphone world too.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a few headphones I've been disappointed in. I remember picking up this. I don't even remember. It was a Chi-Fi one, and I picked it up, and I was like, "Oh, there's a lot of drivers in here. It must be good." This is when I first started getting into it, and then I'm like, "Cool, this has like 8 balance armatures in it." I'm like, "Cool, let me buy this one here."
How did they fit this?
This one here is 20 in each ear, and then you try it, and it's like, this is nothing special.
Right.
At least it's not like. Then that's a problem.
I want to ask both of you guys, or I guess all three, the notion of you were talking about this earlier about what pushes something to be more boutique versus is there a chance that any of this more let's call it boutique stuff becomes more mainstream, and is there an element of if there were to be more eyes on it, and more let's say available for whether it's keyboards or headphones, does that take away, in your opinion, some of the one-of-a-kindness or uniqueness factor that a lot of people are interested in it for? Or do you think that wouldn't matter as much? Or is there a cadence? Or what's you guys' take on that?
That's a tough one.
Me or
sure, yeah, both.
Go first, Alex.
Whoever.
Alex R.
I have more of a hippie kind of point of view on a lot of things, I guess you could say, or just, I don't know what you call it. But I think that often you can feel if something's mass produced by machines or, mass injection molded, where it's just like there's no soul put into that piece of material, whatever you can call it. I think in a lot of headphones, you definitely feel the people that are putting them together. And so for me, mass produced, maybe stuff that's mass produced, people kind of, say is not as good. I don't feel that way, but I can definitely feel a difference between something that's made by 4,000 people or 2. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think I'm on that same level. I think it's very much the mass-produced thing, like you're saying.
Hippies.
Yeah.
I think we're all
cool. Well, I don't know if that's hippie, but it's just more of kind of a feeling thing.
Yeah.
My favorite headphones currently are
that you own
that I own currently are just that, right? They're handmade, handcrafted
by a good guy,
by a good dude. Super chill, super nice guy.
That's the other part of it, is like the person.
Super awesome.
It's still a very small community that we're in, so
yeah. I think for me, it's exactly what Alex said. It's the mass manufactured versus the handmade. But I also think too, a lot of people, like, it's human nature to, especially in the age of social media, it's very important for people to feel unique.
Yes,
I am no exception to that rule. I want to feel unique too.
I want to feel generic.
I'm the so I'm all about it, man.
There's people who want to blend in, right? There's people who want to blend in. I'm just kidding. But it's very you have to be very, like, I guess, aware that people do want to feel like I am different from the next person. This is me. And I think it's this whole sense of individualization why one-off products, kind of like the carved knives, the Rad Zeros, and a lot of like other resin poured products are becoming more popular, or etched products, or why Apple offers engravings on things. It offers people even the smallest chance to have some individualism with their their products. For example, like, I'll go back to campfires, because let's just say there were all those green colors and everyone owned one in the world. I still think it would feel special because it's like the Andromedas would feel special because they're still handmade and they're such a good product, right? But there's also that other level of too, where people are like, well, I want to customize my like a product that everyone has. So I think it is that human nature to be different. It's not a bad thing. I think some people, will go to great lengths for that, and that's totally on them, as long as they're not hurting anyone doing it, by all means, right?
I agree.
Yeah. Even IEMs.
So you guys, this one.
This is the Monarchs.
The Monarch.
Oh yeah,
those are cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, they look. I wish I could get closer to the camera here.
I'm getting closer. I can see it.
This bump. Oh, those are IEMs. My bad.
But I think it's all of that. I think it's really just it's that whole individualism and uniqueness that people want and strive for, and that's why, like, when I have a friend of mine who she's actually going to be probably contacting Alex soon too. She streams and whatnot as well, and she wants this like cyberpunk themed one that has like really bright yellows. I know she's just busy doing some other stuff right now. We built a keyboard for her, and we just got her hooked up with like this bright neon yellow plus dark blues. So I know she's like, should I contact him now? I'm like, contact him whenever. I think I DM'd you, Alex.
Yeah, you did. Yep.
And then I'm like, contact him whenever. She's like, I'm kind of nervous. These are expensive. I'm like, yeah, they're pretty expensive. But it's like, it's one of those things where it's like people really want the individualism, and she she made like a brand off. She makes shoes. So it's a lot of individualism. People want uniqueness, and I think it's a great thing, right? I think it's 100%.
This is kind of like the personalized space is part of personal expression, right? Yeah, that's a really cool way of thinking about it, I think.
Sorry, so sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Very good.
No, I interrupted. I'm sorry.
Nope, my thought was finished.
I thought so. That's why I interrupted.
There you go.
just keeping it going.
Yeah.
I was actually wondering how long this stream is, or how long you guys usually do this for.
Oh yeah, we're about an hour, just over an hour now. But we usually do at 73 minutes. So yeah, we do about hour and a half usually.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on the end of it here.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm gonna go backwards a little bit into what you were just saying, Alex, and based on everything you said, I'd love to make you a custom one that you and I work together and make one together.
That'd be cool.
So
That'd be cool.
That's actually the headphone boys invited me here, so we could give that to you.
That'd be cool, man. That'd be appreciated.
Well, we're gonna do it, and hopefully we can document the whole process and share it along the way and whatnot.
Yeah, man.
But
yeah, I think it's been like so cool, like showing people audio as well as keyboards, as well as like the audio thing. Like I said, I actually got into audio first before keyboards. And with the weirdest story about that, to kind of like interject with some stuff too, is one of the guys who sells keyboards, I actually used to know because he used to sell cables. Like, he used to make cables for audio. And now, he now goes by Desk Hero. He was Hive Mind Cables, if you guys remember.
Oh yeah,
that.
I know Hive Mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like the weirdest thing. I remember like transitioning.
That's in Canada.
Like,
right? That's one of the.
Yeah. And I'm like, no way. That's so weird. Like,
Yeah.
what a small world of niche hobbies. But it's crazy. And yeah, I love showing people like this stuff like this. It's been crazy. Like it's been mind blowing to me.
Well, I appreciate it. I think that you've introduced a few customers to me, but I can never tell because it.
I know it's always hard. Yeah.
Well, it's none of my business how they found me. Yeah. But I appreciate it, and appreciate all the pictures and just everything you've done to like help it promote what I'm doing, because I don't know if anybody knows or notices, but I don't spend much on advertising really at all. So it's all just word of mouth, and it's starting to go well. So I'm stoked, and I'd be happy to kind of document going through it with you. You don't have to document, but you do have to start thinking about what colors you want, and I'll send you our custom order form, just to give you some ideas. But I want to make something that you're gonna be stoked on. So
cool, I'm down for that.
Maybe
man.
we can add one of the pins from Celestial Fox that has the ALEXOTOS in there and have it be embedded in the. That'd be kind of. I don't know. Sorry.
Would there be enough room? Would there be enough room for that? I wonder. That'd be cool.
We could. I've already started thinking about it. I was like, we should just make one that's all keycaps and see how that goes.
Or what are they? They can spell out ALEXOTOS.
Right? Yeah. I made it for you. Don't worry. You don't have to customize it. I got you.
That'd be cool. That'd be interesting.
ALEXOTOS #1.
Oh my goodness.
Toronto on the back.
Yeah, Toronto. Repping Toronto.
What is the space? Just to bring it up, I see posting about space cables. Yeah. What is that?
So, long short story, I guess making the long story short, when I first started taking photos about keyboards, like I had like 400 followers, which is mostly friends and family. I posted photos of a Tofu keyboard that I got, and one of the photos just went like, it blew up. And at the same time, like the hobby was different, I guess, a year ago, even compared to now. And I wanted these custom cables. Do I have one like that's not? I wanted these like coiled custom cables, I wanted some of these, and everyone at the time, like Zap Cables and some of the other big cable makers, they were all like back ordered for months.
Crazy.
And I was like, well, I'm never going to get one of these. And I don't have the patience to wait for like 6 months for a cable. And then I get DM'd by this guy, Space Cables. He's like, hey dude, I'm brand new making cables. You're going to be like my 4th customer. Do you want one? I was like, hell yeah, I want one. And then that actually sparked a huge friendship between the two of us. So we actually, like, that was a few days into, I guess, my post going like a little, I stayed viral, but it had like 800, 900 likes. And that was like a big deal.
That's viral, bro.
Yeah. And then we did some more stuff. And then like a lot of my photos started getting like a lot of traction, more so then than now because it was newer. Like some of them were going like 25,000 likes with 750,000 views. And it was like crazy to me. And Regan, who runs Space Cables, he was growing too at the same time. And he's doing a lot of different stuff now. He's doing like, he's trying to do not budget per se, I guess budget, but like these budget acrylic cases, which I helped him design this cool little back kind of laser engraving here. But these layered acrylic cases, he's growing too. Like his operation, he has a whole team now making these cables, which not a lot of other people do. So he's grown a crap ton. He's making cables for people like Tifu, who, is a big video game streamer and whatnot too. and he has stuff on drop. He has a whole bunch of cool things going for him, and it's just interesting that we literally started at the exact same time, and I still have my receipt from him that says I was invoice number 4.
Nice.
So I can always be like, by the way, Reagan,
the question
I was
about
there.
cables.
You're a partner now, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Early adopter.
where's my cut?
That's what I thought. That's why I brought it up.
The question about the keyboard cables in my mind is, does it make them sound better?
No, and I've told people this a million times too. The only benefit you can get from these custom cables over aesthetics is sometimes you can get these hot swap plugs, which you guys are.
Yeah, those are really cool.
This
is
a
BNC style plug.
Kind of, yeah. You plug them in and out. That way, there, if you have different ends, so this is a Type C. So if something uses a mini or just something uses some random one that you got customized for, you don't have to rewire your entire setup. You can just hot swap them in and out. That's like the real reason you get these. But a lot of people buy them for aesthetics.
I was
say,
is
there any influence for that kind of stuff on like Encro? Like, do people worry about that with the custom keyboard world, or?
Not really. I think the only thing people worry about nowadays is like the fake stuff. Like a lot of people have been on this like fake thing, which is great. We shouldn't sell fakes. But like there's fake Limo connectors. This is not.
Yeah. Okay. I got you.
Right. So there's fake Limo connectors because Limo's a brand that's trademarked. Yeah. I think that's still patented for a lot of things.
They're expensive.
Yes, they're extremely expensive. Yeah. Like we use them at our work too, I believe. Or not we use them, but people that we sell, people like medical things use them. Armies use them for stuff.
They're amazing.
There's a lot of cool things that. Yeah, like nowadays too, the cable makers are engraving the aviator parts. So the larger connectors, which I don't have on my desk right now. They're Cerakoting them, which is really cool. Even keyboards are going through Cerakoting too, which there's a whole lot of customization you can do to your cables too, but they don't affect performance at all.
Purely aesthetic.
No improved latencies.
I was just gonna say
nothing like that.
Yeah.
Some convenience
this
at the end of the day for you to hot swap.
Yeah, it's amazing. Change my whole outlook here.
Well, and the funny thing is, I remember before COVID started, I was out. And it was at one of the keyboard conventions, and I was waiting, and I had one of my keyboards in my hands because I didn't have enough cases for some of the keyboards I was bringing. Because at the time, I only owned one case, and I remember a kid saying like he was into the hobby too. Like he passed me, and it was like cool to see other people like passing me and saying like, "Oh, mom, he has a custom keyboard," and I remember even hearing him say something about. His next thing was he wanted a custom cable because it improves this for his game, and it's like I don't know where he got this idea from, but like it's just interesting the things that kids will tell their parents, like get them to buy stuff.
Maybe that was the selling point.
I need this.
Yeah, like he's gonna make me better. He's gonna be a good salesman when he grows up. I just know that. He sold his mom with that cable that day.
He definitely needs it.
I need this. This is the thing. You understand?
Yeah.
You're ruining my life if you don't get this for me.
Yeah. But it's definitely an interesting world. It's cool mingling the two hobbies too. Like it's like I said, I think my next step of the next piece of equipment for audio that I want is I wouldn't mind going with some tubes, but I don't have the room on my desk. That's the big problem.
So we're kind of going a little full circle back. Like, so one of the things that I always do whenever I order something, especially because most of the stuff I order is usually boutique stuff, like handcrafted stuff.
Yeah.
And so I actually just recently got one of the last ECP T4s, which is a tube hybrid. And
Nice.
And I asked Tom very nicely, I was like, can you add some purple stuff to it? And so he, instead of having because they classically have a little orange LED underneath that lights up the back. And so here, don't mind the mess. My desk is pretty trashed now.
Did he make that specifically? Like they made that for you specifically?
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's the ECP T4.
Wow, your desk is a mess.
My desk is a mess.
You should see mine, man.
But you can see it right there.
I don't do that.
So that's the purple LED underneath the thing, and normally it's an orange one. So
awesome.
So I will always ask, because I expect the answer to be no, and so. It doesn't hurt anybody to ask at the end of the day for a little bit of
I want to get
customization.
Custom purple on the measurement rig so we can custom light.
Is that Holly Evander?
Evander Holyfield?
Hungry.
Yeah.
I think I need some pizza.
Actually, I should ask Alex Rosson. have you played around with any tubes for the Rad Zero? That's something I never got a chance to do.
I mean, I haven't. It's been years since I sat down and like rolled or just messed around with tubes. But one of my favorite amps is a Malvalve from Germany, and it's got a ton of tubes in it, and it's
cool.
So yes, I guess I've messed around with tubes with the Rad Zero, with basically anything that I can. I'd love to hear the difference.
Yeah,
but it's more.
We tried one of the presidents at our company. He actually loves amps. He builds his own.
This is a great story.
Whoa.
Yeah, so he doesn't have good headphones. He has like a really generic, like off the shelf Best Buy pair of Audio Technica. So when I say good, I mean like they're good, but they're not like
audiophile headphones.
I don't know, without sounding like rude or too prestigious. They're not like this level. And I remember I brought the LCDs and I brought the Rad Zeros, and he brought in one of his like favorite tube amps that he built himself, like one of one. Like this thing was crazy looking, and he plugs it in. We plug in the LCD2s, and like the LCD2s are good. I put them in this thing, and I'm like, my God, why does this sound so fucking good for? Like this is nice. And then he put it on. He was just smiling ear to ear. And then we tried these ones, and it was like the same thing. I'm like, Jesus. And they just like, for me, like I'm a bass guy. But not to the point where I don't like thumping bass. I like, like the ooey gooey kind of bass. And I put those in. I'm like, can I have this? Can I buy this off of you? And he's like, no. Yeah. And he was just smiling, and he's like, I need to get me a pair of these headphones. Amazing. And then he loved it. Like, and it was just incredible. I don't know what the hell he put in the thing. I don't know anything about the two. He designed the PCB. He designed everything. And he's like an engineer, right? So he just built something for himself, and I'm like, my God, this sounded incredible.
That's super
cool. A good picture.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a little bit like the you get kind of close to that with like the bottlehead stuff, where
they
send you and then you make it. Yeah.
Or bottlehead you build yourself. Yeah, I have my bottlehead over here still. But that's like a pure OTL, which is like the point-to-point solder style, and that does not. It's very rare for a planar to work really nicely with a point-to-point OTL.
Well, and that's what I remember, because I was asking Tyler too. I believe I was asking Tyler. I was like, what should I use for planar for tubes? And that was like right after I had tried his. And I had no idea like what he used. I don't know what he used in his. All I know is there was a bit of humming when he turned it on. Like, again, it was like purely made by him. He'd shown me even prior to him bringing it in. He was showing me like schematics he had. Mm-hmm. And like I look at this thing and it's like a foreign language. I'm like, oh, that looks great, man. Meanwhile, I'm like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. But and then he brought it in. I'm like, my God, like this sounded great. That's why I go to Tyler. I'm like, can you recommend me good tube amps? So I'm trying to replicate that sound.
And I currently I love these off of the T4. But we also have Marcello, who's he took the pictures for Instagram for headphones. He's in chat now. He's been using the Lear 3, I believe, and he loves it. Like he's fallen in love with the Rad Zero to the point where he's like, I need to sell everything and just get. And he loves it with the Lear 3. So that's a shit hybrid tube amp. So like a hybrid tube amp or a set single triode.
Single-ended triode.
Yeah, single-ended triode is what you'd probably want for these, because it doesn't push too much power to where you're like, that's all you're worried about. So the hybrids and the set tube amps are
usually the output transformerless stuff works best with like high impedance dynamics. Mm-hmm. That's been my experience. And then but I mean, this is the thing I was going to mention. One of the nice things about the Rad Zero is that even if running it off of a solid state amplifier, it gives you many of those kind of characteristics that you look for when you are pairing with the tube amp.
Which
like
is why it's so hard for me
kind of sound.
To get rid of the HD DAC 1. It's a nice unit, the HD DAC 1. It hasn't let me down at all. I have some Arkham stuff downstairs too, which was like, I had some nice finds with those, and I was like, man, these are nice. And I plugged it into that, and it sounds similar. Like the Arkham amp, for example, the one that I have is a really nice solid state amp, but the Marantz HD1 is just like all together, and I can just keep it on the desk, and it's not like three things need to stack up on top of each other. So a little nicer.
I see some questions from the chat.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a couple things like Ant. So I'm gonna ask, the Ant has a good point. The Felix stuff, is really fantastic OTL with planars too. For whatever reason, they actually work with which is I don't know why, but they just magic.
Yeah.
And then Resolve. I think P for Pho had a good question.
Yeah. So what is Rosson's go-to amp?
Oh, come on.
that's from the chat. I'm just saying, it's from the chat.
What's
the people want to know?
Okay, right now, what's like?
Sure.
It's often that I don't care what amp it is. I just want to hear what's going on. But if I'm sitting down to enjoy myself or trying to enjoy myself and just enjoy music and listen, I've really been enjoying the Neve, the new Neve, the Fidelis.
Fidelis, yeah.
I mean, I couldn't afford it, but there's something about that thing that just makes me get stuck in the seat, and I want to listen like I haven't listened before. And it's really an amazing experience, at least for me personally, because I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Yeah. Whoa. Yeah, we did this.
Yeah. That was my experience with it as well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well when I had it.
But I like to plug it into phones. I like, often I have a Mackie Big Knob here with a SPL Crimson. What else? I have a Dark Star, Ray Samuels Dark Star.
Oh, that thing's nice. I like that one.
By Electric. As far as like DAC amps, I have a Mytek. I love Mytek stuff as far as DACs. What else? Gosh, I have that Malvalve that I was talking about. If you're asking me like what amps do I gravitate towards? Not that I think are best or anything like that.
Your personal preference kind of thing.
What I have in my arsenal, the Neve, Malvalve, and probably that Dark Star are just amazing amps. Cool. But if I were out to go buy one and I was like, what's the best value other than shit stuff, which is amazing, the highest value you can get in audio world, in my opinion, that's up a notch. Not audio, whatever. You guys know what shit
I know what you mean, yeah.
God, head amp. Their Gilmore MK2 is a beast of an amp for the price, and it's just, I don't know. When I first heard that, I was like, damn, that is some power, and it really well done. So amazing work from Justin over at Head Amp.
Cool.
But I'm one of those guys that kind of like, can you just give me a signal so I can hear what's going on?
Yeah.
Again, I think I went through my skill.
Yeah.
There are some beautiful amps out there, and I love amps, and I love getting the time to sit down and actually enjoy and listen, but it's been rare lately.
Yeah. I find it's like that with keyboards, to loop it back to that too. I get a lot of questions about like particular sounds or profiles of keyboards and stuff like that. And a lot of the times, like, my answer is, if you guys are using this on like a daily basis and you're using this to get work done, or like you said, using this just to listen to things, you guys will never notice some of the minute differences between like some amps and stuff like that too, that you're paying like X amount of extra dollars for, just like switches and stuff for keyboards. Sometimes you don't feel it. You don't like you're busy doing other stuff. A lot of like the audio stuff, and even some of the keyboard sounds, not feeling but sound, comes from like critically listen, which you're rarely doing unless you're, like you said, sitting down to enjoy yourself. And some people do. Like, I like the sound of keyboards, so sometimes when I'm writing, I'll turn off my music just to listen to the keyboard, which sounds weird, but I do that. But it's the same thing with that. Like, if I were to go now and change my Marantz to my Arkham, even I have like one of those little i-fi cheapy ones. Sometimes you like, they all get driven, like it powers the headphone, and if I'm not critically listening, it's just music going on in the background, right?
That brings up a really interesting point. Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
If you're not listening so loud, it's like, okay, well, you can't really. Yeah. Yes, a characteristic of a headphone will sound different. It's pleasant overall, so Yeah, you're exactly that characteristic. Yeah. Anywho, sorry to interrupt.
No, it's all good. I was just thinking of the people in both headphones and in the keyboard world, when you're scrutinizing stuff like the sound of a keyboard and you're getting very, very into it, there's a kind of like pickiness, I guess, that comes along with that. I think it's the same with headphones, but at the same time, when you're actually using the device, like to write something, or
for its intended purpose.
Exactly, for its intended purpose. I mean, I think a lot of the stuff that you might be scrutinizing, you're not paying as close attention to, because, well, at least in the case of headphones, you're listening to your music more. Like you're like, oh yeah, I just want to hear my music and I want to enjoy that, and you're not just well, I mean, I guess us as like reviewers, we're we're constantly scrutinizing and analyzing, but in reality, most people, they're not going to be doing that, whatever it is.
And I see the value of scrutinizing from a reviewer standpoint. Like, it can help companies find like fine tune things. But we've had people in like the keyboard hobby say like, for me, like I have to hear this sound test in like in I don't know the exact word for it, but one of those chambers where you don't hear anything. And I'm like, bro, I'm like, when are you ever actually using your keyboard?
Put your keyboard in the anechoic chamber.
In a null sound chamber, yeah.
Like you're using it at home or at work or something. Like you're not like, why do you need to listen to that?
And the room is like, literally just like, there's nothing to it but foam all the way to the keyboard.
Yeah, like you're hearing the springs crunching inside the keyboard. Like you're not, like your ear can't audibly hear that. Like why do you
become ASMR with keyboard clacks?
Yeah. Don't you then have to take into account the bone resonance?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the BNR factor on that keyboard?
Or the head and shoulder sound waves coming out. You got taking the torso and all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
like, and that's why the sound tests are cool and all, but like my room is different from your room, so the most accurate thing is we can use a room. Like, I'm not going to go to like one of those chambers and type a test and be like, this is the way the keyboard sounds. This is not going to sound like that on your desk. So even mine, like, take it with a grain of salt when I do my sound tests on YouTube and stuff like that. And everyone should take every sound test with a grain of salt until your ears hear it, because your ears will hear these things differently too. Just like headphones. Sometimes people will like a certain headphone more than another headphone because their ears, and they can't. I know, for example, my dad can't hear high frequency stuff.
Yeah.
So he'll never like get to enjoy that, and I physically can never give that to him because, I mean, his ears just don't hear.
EQ it all the way up, bro. Just EQ it all the way up.
Put one of those like
he'll hear something.
Ear implants.
Right. So it's one of those things even in the keyboard world too, which is like, I guess it's really hard to like tell people like, yes, these sound good, but like, please take what I'm doing with a grain of salt. And as someone who tries to stay away from the review scene and do more showcasing, which that's been my go-to, which I think has been working for me, where it's like, a light review. Yes, I like it, but please take it with a grain of salt. But here's some really cool photos of it, and here's what I've been thinking about, and here's what I've been enjoying. So I think that goes a lot longer and a lot farther, saying that, hey, like, yes, I have been using this keyboard every day because I do enjoy it that much. Just like like when people see me, like I have crap tons of IEMs that I could be wearing during stream, but like I wear these, and even when I go out, sometimes like I'm wearing these, right? So it's it's preference, right? But it's preference, and like I think like my go-to for headphones right now, including IEMs, is the Andromedas, these. And believe it or not, when I need to talk to someone, I'll just use the Apple earbuds, the ones that came in the box.
They work.
When you're wearing the Rad Zero outside, do people ask you like what headphones are you wearing? Is that
I remember people with headphones.
This is a long time ago.
I've never had that conversation. So
this was the most interesting thing that I've ever seen. It was coming out of Babelor Radio here in Toronto, and I had the LCD2s like in a box. I was so happy. I just picked up those headphones. And like I just getting into like this huge headphone world, and I see someone on the bus, and this is the only time I've ever seen someone with a pair of like actual headphones. I keep saying actual headphones, but like pair of I guess boutique stuff. They had a pair of great like Grados. How do you pronounce it?
Grados.
And they had their DAC MP3 player with Velcro on it and all this kind of stuff. And I remember looking, I'm like, I want to talk to you. Like, I just want to have a conversation with this person. But it's so weird engaging with someone who has headphones on. So it's just like, forget it. So I'm guessing it's the same way.
If I'm public, I'll put them on sometimes. Like if I'm traveling or whatever, when I was traveling, put them on just so nobody bothers me.
Yeah. I think that's
not
like,
that people are bothering me. Like I'm just saying.
I don't even have it plugged in.
I feel safe in them. And
I don't think everyone's ever done. I think the only question I've ever gotten publicly, because I used to, before COVID, used to go out a lot, was someone had asked me about the cable I was using on my IEM because it was braided. They didn't care about what was in my ear. It was just like a kid going like, that cable looks cool. Where can I buy one? And I'm like, well, you can't take the cables out of your headphones, so
Yeah, why are you asking me?
Yeah, but I told him anyways, right? Yeah. So it was just, I think that's literally the only question I've ever gotten about something I've like had in my ear in public. That was about the cable.
I have a fun story about that too. Like I remember, so I was actually, what headphone was I think I was wearing the Alesias. I was wearing the Alesia, and we were going to a meeting downtown Seattle. So I was on the train, the underground train in Seattle. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. But anyways, so I was going on that. And
didn't know they had public transit in Seattle.
Yeah, it's all underground. It's pretty crazy. And well, then it goes. But anyways, I'm sitting there, the Alesia's on, and somebody else walks in the train, and they sit down, and it was summertime, so I'm t-shirt and stuff, and they had Stellias on, and so
wow,
so mind you, that's
was it Taryn?
It was a Taryn, no, right. but then there's that moment where we both kind of made eye contact, and there was that but then the other person, Halson, had this realization of how much I'm wearing on my head right now, and I'm not a little dude with and I have tattoos, but not that you can see it, and so he had this moment of oh God. He knows. Abort.
At least when you see somebody with rocking Cos Porta Pros, there's no worry about that.
Yeah. but then
there is that moment of recognition for sure.
It was just so funny, man. It was just it's so funny to see that the eyes widen and I smiled. I smiled and waved, and it was fine. And we were like, "Oh yeah!"
In the keyboard world too, where we had our meetup, and there was people there were a few people who came in who didn't even bring keyboards, right? They were just there to look, and they go to type on your keyboard, and you get this anxiety of please don't destroy my keyboard. Are your hands clean?
Are your hands clean? Oh, the same thing.
What are you doing? Yeah.
This is what it's like at headphone meetups.
Yeah.
Tyler is very liberal with his allowing people to use his special purple headphones.
At least then you can kind of you can bring pads, or you can bring something that you can swap out later.
Yeah.
But with keyboards, the caps are usually expensive too.
Mm-hmm.
It's even
things
funner.
Can fall in that you got to clean out. Yeah.
Or when people return their headphones after years of use.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or the demos. You ever gotten on the tours where it's the super crazy long tours? I know Antdroid had one where he got a headphone in and he was like, ooh. Ooh. And he
That's a tour I don't want to be part of. Yeah.
I think the weirdest thing I've ever had happen, just a quick little story about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I used to work at a shoe store, and me and my brother worked there, and this older gentleman comes in, and he's totally distraught, super pissed off. And he goes, I want to return these. We take it out of the box. And I had just started there, and we were I was 20, he was 19 or whatever. And we look at it, and my brother's is this even the box that belongs to this store? And he ended up, it was a company called Rockport.
Oh yeah.
And he brought shoes from 20 years ago. I'm not kidding you.
He's been wearing every day for 20 years.
No, he never put them on. He just wanted to return them.
Oh, he never put them on.
No, but wow. What do you? And it was one of those things where it's what do you, I don't think I've ever been faced with a situation like that ever in my life.
But man,
yeah, it's so weird. And he was I need to these don't fit anymore. I'm well, no kidding. It's been 20 years. Yeah,
my mom bought them for me when I was 5, and
yeah. So I remember my brother ended up calling head office, and they were even blown away. And just return them for the guy. Just give him $60 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, how do you even then rate the
inflation
is then too, right?
Put them in a glass case somewhere and just show them off as the original.
It's just weird situation. So I can't. Luckily, you didn't use them. His feet are even worse than putting something on your head. But
yeah, guys, we've been going for almost 2 hours now, so we probably have to cut the stream short.
Get to
cut it long.
Their wives, girlfriends, and families and stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me join, and thanks for everything, Alex and boys, of course.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, really thank you guys. Both Alex Squareds. That's been fantastic.
Love chatting with you guys today. That was a ton of fun.
Learned
a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to what you guys come up with for the ALEXOTOS Rad Zero that's developed.
And we'll try to do a reveal for you guys. So we'll do this again maybe at the end of October or whenever they're ready, and we'll do another one of these, and we'll do a reveal. How about that?
Sure.
Take a look at
that. That'd be cool.
I'll hit you up. I'll DM you on Instagram, and hi to all whoever's in the chat, and thanks for visiting, I guess, or thanks for listening.
Yeah, super awesome.
Yeah, I'll have to have you guys on my Twitch channel soon too.
Oh, I'd love to.
That'd be dope.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Alrighty, man.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys. And we'll shut the stream